Boom ba pa ba doom ba da ba doom ba da ba doom ba da ba. Ooh, we away. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sporking News Podcast. I am just waiting for people to get into the chat. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. We are talking Game of Thrones. Excuse me, Christy. I know what that means. I'm not that. I'm Gen X. I know what WTF means.
That's why I put it in the private chat.
I'd rather have everything out in the open when people don't care. So, yeah, we'll wait for a couple people to come in. So how's everybody's day? Anybody have anything exciting happen to them?
No.
Okay, great.
Not
great.
really.
Well, let me talk about myself then, because I do that well. I just want everybody out in the chat to know I do now have a TikTok page. Yeah. I thought it was Twitch. I screwed up and started a TikTok page instead because, yes, I am a Gen Xer, and sometimes I get confused. Boomer, don't disrespect the Gen Booms, all right? The baby boomers,
Should I have my daughter teach her how to read Sedavos?
Yeah, my lord. But check out my TikTok page. It's Sporking NP at Sporking NP. And thank you to Culture Casino, my brother, who did a cut for me, and I got to post that one. But I have about 1,550 followers. It's growing every day. It's crazy how fast you grow when you go viral, bitches.
You have more followers on there than you do on YouTube.
I got you're such an asshole. I got more followers. I literally got more followers in a day than I have in the 8 or 9 months I've been doing YouTube. I have 1,550 followers. I have more likes on one. I have more likes on one video than I have views on YouTube. I just went over 20,000 views on YouTube. I have like 25,000 likes on that one video.
How long is that video?
It's like I think they're only like 15 seconds, not even.
Wow.
Son of a bitch. Right? I literally in 2 days I've had 1,550. Like I'm growing. I wish it was YouTube. I'm trying to get support over here, so we'll see what happens. But that's another thing I'll be talking about. So I am going to add another stream. I don't mean to upset anybody, but I probably will be talking about social issues, politics, pop culture, and taking my view. And if you don't like that, well, it's America. You don't have to listen, but I would hope you would come in and debate with me. And if you're good in the chat, maybe I'll bring you on the stream with me. I'm trying to figure out what day I want to do that, but hopefully everyone's down with that. And let's say hello to who's in the chat. We do have Mason. Mason, how you doing? What are you laughing about?
Culture Casino doesn't know how to spell thoughts.
He is okay. You are what they're calling boomers, bro. You're a Gen Xer too. It's one T at the end, bro. Come on. Oh, Miss Martin
You're a
Muse.
thoughtful person.
Well, let's introduce our guest for tonight. You have now come to Stream by the Crossroads, and we are a panel that discusses A Song of Ice and Fire chapter by chapter. Tonight we are doing Game of Thrones chapter 22 through 26. Our guest for this evening is Miss Martin Muse. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I'm Miss Martin Muses. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about books, movies, music, film, cats, and even my Xbox One.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming. And next below her, we have Jayne. Give him a little spiel.
Hey guys, you can find me here on YouTube where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, as well as the occasional pop culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, Jayne. Christy?
Hi, I'm Christy, and I do videos on YouTube. My channel is According to Christy. I do live streams. There, I did it better, didn't I, Scott?
That was awesome, dude. Oh my God, that was really good. I'm very proud of you. And this gentleman doesn't need this gentleman does not need an introduction, but he's gonna give it to you.
Yeah. Stig Kenobi. First of my name, Lord of the Andals and the Seven Kingdoms. By right, all who deny that are my foes. Also, I have a little YouTube channel. I actually made a video today.
What?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I didn't
sorry.
see it. What is
I
it?
made
Stig?
another top 5 list.
Oh my god, I missed it. All
You
right.
need to watch it.
Is it good? Okay, I can't wait. All right. I'm gonna definitely check it out. What is it your top 5 of though? Is it
Well, it took me 4 minutes.
wow,
To make
you
a
put
top
more
5
effort
list
into
of-
this one.
Yeah, it's a top 5 things to avoid this summer to stay
Okay.
safe.
Could you just give us one? We don't want to give away everything. Just give away one. What is it?
That piece of shit, swamp ass bitch, Carol Baskins.
Get off my property. Carol Bastion got me in a trunk. All right. Thank you, Stig, for being here, and thank you for making this video. I'm excited to see it. But I just want to say hello to everyone once again. We're going to start off with chapter 22. I was going to give some people a little bit more time to come in, but you know what? They can always watch it on a replay. You guys ready to talk Game of Thrones?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Absolutely.
So we are starting with Arya 4. Is it Arya 4? I don't have the list of actual chapter names, but I want to say it's Arya 4.
2.
Oh, it's Arya 2. I'm a moron. Thank you, Christy.
Can you say that one more time?
I am a moron. Please cut this because Christy is the best. You can just take that and shove it. All right. Now we are going to be talking about that one. Just give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Unhappy at King's Landing. So Arya is with dinner with her father and sister. So her father enters a small hall after dinner. She runs out of the dinner because she's pissed off and starts practicing with Needle. So her father comes into the small hallway and she's out there, practicing, has been fighting with the count. Oh, wait a minute. Let me start that all over. I'm sorry. When her father enters the small hall after dinner has already begun, Arya can tell that he has been fighting with the council. Jory Cassell asks about the attorney everyone is talking about, and Edark asks if anyone is talking about the hand's displeasure with the whole thing. So if you don't remember, Robert wants to have attorney in the name of the new hand, Eddard. The crown is in debt, and Edark's pissed that they're doing it. Sansa is tremendously excited about it. Septa Mordain mentions his family will be attending it. Sansa's all psyched to see the knights and all these people, the Knights of Flower and Joffrey. So knowing that Prince Joffrey will be there, Arya insists she does not want to attend the stupid tournament. When Sansa taunts her, Arya would not want to be there anyways. Edark loses his temper and threatens to change his mind to let them go. Edark, gains his composure. Once he's gone, his guardsmen start talking excitedly about the tournament. No one talks to Arya, but she likes it that way. Back in Winterfell, she had enjoyed listening to the men talk, but now the sounds irritate her because she blames them all, even her father, for doing nothing to save Lady or Micah. She's still pissed off about that. After looking disgustedly at her cold food, and she's just pushing it around, Septa Mordain insists that Arya hasn't eaten. She dashes away. She runs to her chamber, locks herself in. She digs to the bottom of her chest and grabs her sword Needle. Arya thinks that if she could climb like her brother Bran, she could steal some food and run away. That if Jon Snow was there, she would not feel so lonely. A soft knock on the door, and it's her dad. He wants to talk to her. From the way he talks, Arya is ashamed to realize he is more sad than angry. When she lets him in, her father immediately notices her sword and asks whose it is. Arya explains that it's hers, and her father asks to see it. Her father notices Mickens' mark on it, the blade, and remarks that if his 9-year-old daughter can be armed from from his own forge without his knowledge, how could he expect to rule the seven kingdoms? Good freaking question. Edark asks who gave her the sword. Arya doesn't want to say anything. She doesn't want to betray Jon. Her father accepts this, but tells Arya that a sword is not a toy. When asked what she thinks Septa Mordane would say about her playing with a sword, Arya insists she's not playing. Edark states that he should break the sword over his knee. Arya responds that needle wouldn't break. The sword having a name amuses her father, who claims that Arya reminds him of his sister Lyanna, who might have carried a sword if their father had allowed it. Arya is surprised when Edark says she looks like her aunt, who was always described as beautiful, something never said to Arya. Edark asks if Arya knows anything about how to use a sword, and she replies with the advice Jon gave her, stick 'em with the point. And she tells how she was trying to learn and sadly adds that she asked Micah to practice with her. In grief, she starts to sob against her father's chest. He tells her that Micah's death wasn't her fault. Arya sobs that she hates them all, the queen, the hound, Joffrey, the king, everybody. Then she adds that Joffrey lied and that she also hates Sansa. This is one of the best parts. Edark says that everyone lies and that does not believe that Nymeria and that he doesn't believe that Nymeria just ran off. Arya then exclaims that Joffrey promised not to tell Jory. Edark informs her that Jory did not tell, but they had figured it out, because even a blind man could tell that the wolf would not have left willingly. Arya then explains how she and Jory had to throw rocks to drive the wolf away. She then asked her father if she did the right thing. Edark assures her she did. Edark then tells Arya that winter is coming. He explains to her how wolves stick together and that in the winter, the lone wolf dies. Now there's an enemy threatening the Starks, so they must stick together like a pack of wolves, and it is time for her to start growing up. He hands Arya back her sword, says she can keep it. He only asks that she does not stick her sister with it. 3 days later, Arya is sent to the small hall by a steward. She's met by Syrio Forel, a former first sword of Bravos. He tells her that he is her dancing master and throws her a wooden sword, which she can't catch. Syrio tells Arya the next day she will be there at midday and catch the blade. She picks the practice sword up and, as instructed, finds that it's very heavy. When she complains about the weight, Syrio explains that it is heavy to make her strong. Then he fixes her grip, telling her not to squeeze too tight. So he's teaching her, blah, blah, blah. When Syrio calls her a boy for the third time, Arya objects. He insists that it does not matter. A sword has no gender. He then explains that what he will be teaching her is not the hacking and hammering iron dance of Westeros, but the swift, sudden water dance of Bravos. Then he tells her to try to strike him, and she tries unsuccessfully for 4 hours until every muscle is sore. The next day, the real work begins. That was a little long, but I think it was all important to say. I'm waiting for you guys to tell me I should have shut up. I don't care. I read the summary. I think you guys all deserve to hear it all. So, what do you guys think of that summary? I'll let you guys speak first. Why don't we start with Stig Kenobi?
Read
the whole book.
Well, it's a chapter that fleshes out Arya quite a bit, her motivations and goals and views. It's also a daughter and dad chapter.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see way more of Ned's relationship with Arya and vice versa. It's actually Ned being a very good dad in this chapter.
Right. Ned showing a side of himself that she rarely sees, correct?
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of sad. She thinks it's anger, but it's actually him being sad. You know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a good chapter. It doesn't have much in the way of, I guess, plot points.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking the bit about the lone wolf dying might be relevant.
It may be. I mean, so I didn't say the whole phrase, So Edark says, Arya, Arya and Sansa are fighting. Arya says, I hate her. And he says, what is our house words? And she says, winter is coming. And he's like, right. And when winter comes, the lone wolf dies while the pack survives. So I know people who've watched this show have heard that phrase, but it's a very powerful statement, and she gets it. She understands that and he goes on to say the Starks have enemies.
Right.
Like we are surrounded right now. And if
we're not in the north anymore.
Right. We aren't the big dog anymore in the pond. This is now we are just another big fish, but we're in a bigger lake of big fish. And that's pretty impressive that he, she's 8-9 years old and he drops knowledge on her. I thought that was really important.
And I think he also picks up on the fact that she's frustrated with their inability to act the way they might in the north, because she's seen these people in her father's retinue or what have you, who ordinarily talk big, right? They're strong, right. They're warriors, they're Northmen. But down here, all these things are happening to her and her family, and it seems like they're helpless.
And again, it shows how perceptive Ned is in looking at his surroundings and picking up things also. Versus how again, I'm going to bring up the show again from season 1 versus how in the show it really doesn't show that avenue as much.
Right. You know what? Real quick, and then I'm going to ask Teresa what she thought. It's like he says most of this in the show, but when you read it, you get more of a sense of his political view than just like in the show. It's more of like, I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like when you read it in the book, you see he's being very astute and realizing that they have to be tactful. They have to watch their backs. In the show, it's just like he just kind of throws it out there. I don't know how to explain it, but do you guys notice the difference?
Yeah, and the show is out of context.
Yeah,
the book does a lot better of laying the foundation so that you see what stresses he's under, what stresses his family is under, and how he can explain this to a child in a way she understands, and also at the same time prepare her. Because one of the things I hate about the show was the end where they tried to make it seem like Arya would kill Sansa, and I'm like, protecting one another is literally one of the last things he told her. Just
winter is coming. Smooth Jam California. I'm sorry, I've never seen you in the chat, so welcome to the chat. Go ahead, Jane. Sorry about that.
No, that's it. That's what I was saying.
Okay. Teresa, what did you think about this chapter? You're a first-time book reader. You did watch the show, but this is your first time going through the books. Did this pop anything in your head? Anything different, the same? What did you feel?
I thought it was an amazing discussion, kind of like what Stig was talking about, because it really did show he really understands his children. He really understands his little girls, and he knows what she needs, and he gives it to her. What struck me as different, perhaps, was once again they brought up Lyanna. Like, you remind me of Lyanna.
Right, and for Arya to, like, I don't think he's ever said that to her before, because she's like, they always say she was so beautiful, and no one ever says I'm beautiful. So that might be the first time he's comparing her to him. But now I don't remember exactly if he's comparing look or just who she is. And I think it's who she is. She has that wild wolf spirit that her, Lyanna and Brandon had, more Brandon than anyone, but Lyanna definitely had the wild wolf, they call it,
And
yeah, go ahead.
Ned is actually letting Arya train so she can fend for herself more, because he realizes the danger they're all in. And I don't think he would have had anyone train Arya if they had been at Winterfell. But I think given the situation, that's why he lets her keep the sword, and he lets her train with Syrio.
Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah, that I never looked at it from that point of view, that he was worried. He's genuinely starting to be worried about them, and
You know what? That is
Doesn't
actually
affect
very
it.
astute.
I know.
I use
I
that
know.
word twice now. I never thought of it that way either. I thought of it as he understands that's something she seems passionate about. And why don't we just let her go with it? But he gets one of the greatest swordsmen. I mean, he's a first sword of Bravos, a former first sword of Bravos. You're badass if you're a first sword of Bravos. You know, that's a really smart take on that, Stig, that he did it maybe because he knew she liked it and she reminds him of Liana, but also he fears for their safety. So a little bit of knowledge
Well,
might save her life.
She reminds him of Liana, but what happened to Liana?
Right.
Right.
He doesn't want that for Arya, does he?
Right. Well, so we have a couple new people in the chat. So you know, our Wednesday stream is a reread or a first read, like Teresa, of Game of Thrones. We're going through all the Song of Ice and Fire books. So we're trying to do each chapter spoil free. So a lot of you guys will know. If you do have a spoiler, please just write spoiler with a couple. I don't even care if you put middle finger emojis. Just make sure we know you're doing spoiler. But when our Monday night stream, same time, 7:15, is definitely spoiler. So please be there, because I like what Smooth Jam California has to add that question. That's a great question for our Monday night one. Littlefinger or Varys, who is the true master? But on this one, we kind of just go through each chapter and try to break it down without giving away what's going to happen. Try to think of it like we just read it for the first time. Please, everybody, also make sure you like, share, subscribe. Definitely, I could use it. And tweet it out. Do whatever you can, because YouTube does not help us small content creators. So I'd really appreciate that. Sorry to break up the talk. Let's get back to it. Do you think? Where did he find Syrio? Where do you think he got him from? Who did he know to find the first sword, an ex-first sword of Bravos? I don't remember that. I didn't reread this chapter. I'm going to be honest. And I don't remember that even being stated the two times I read it.
No, nobody knows. We don't even know why the first sword of Bravos is there.
Right. That's absolutely true. I think, though, going again with what Jayne and like Christy have said, and we all talk about how the show didn't show Ned and how intelligent he is. He realizes his daughter is a small form, quick, young. So instead of getting her the usual master at arms to teach her how to fight, he found somebody that uses speed, agility, quickness in their sword play. Again, going to what Stig said, I really now think he did this because he's scared for their safety and she could be safe.
I know. I'm always right.
You are. And did anybody ever tell you look like Stannis Baratheon?
No.
No? Okay. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Well,
and what you said, like, about the elegance of him, and that it's a bit of a joke that it's dancing classes, but maybe not so much. That, again, because she, as you said, she can't really depend upon strength because
right.
She's so small, but agility and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's very important to think about. First off, it really does. I want to know why he picked it. Well, I know why he picked him. Again, what I just said, but where did he find Syrio? You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's kind of interesting. And I've never thought about it before this moment. Like, the first sort of Bravo.
I assume that he just made some inquiries.
That's in most books, I would say the same thing. But when it comes to George Martin, he has a reason for everything. Every eye color, every sigil, every description of a sword, every description of a person's breath, like anything. And I wonder if that'll ever come back. I mean, maybe, think about it. Okay. Nope. That's spoilers. I'll shut up. I was about to keep going there. So now Anybody else have anything on this one? I also want to say I hate Sansa. That's it.
Yeah,
I just hate her.
Sansa's a bit of a twat.
She's
but,
a lot like her mother.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A bit.
She's like a light version of Carol Baskin herself.
Goddamn Carol Baskin, put me in a trunk. You know what? It's like, are we supposed to think, okay, you got the Starks, stoic. We always hear the Starks are stoic. They're Northmen. But I've never really thought about they describe Tullys in a way? Because to me, I'm starting to realize, like with Edmure, the only one that's badass is the Blackfish. We'll find out later. Sorry about that. But what we see from the Tullys, they're a lot of wine, like the Tully side of the family. Sansa looks very Tully. Caitlyn is Tully. Even Robb at times looks more Tully than Stark, and they all cry like bitches. Not female. That wasn't a female thing, but I'm just saying, like the term bitches, female dog. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's like a nation of Karens, basically.
Thank you. They really are. The Tullys are Karens. The Tullys are Karens. That's so awesome.
Would you say "Cry Me a River"?
That's really good. I like that one.
Oh my God, that's great. Hello, Dark Side Droids. How you doing, my friend? All right, so before we move on, and we can still talk about this one, but this is a quick question from our chat. If you can visit anywhere in Westeros or Essos, where would you go? I would say Lice. For reasons.
Where's the place with the best hookers?
Lice.
Is it?
Is it Lice?
Lice or Lease? Lease. I think it's Lease. Lease. I don't know, but those ladies are trained.
Well, to be fair, I'd probably go way north of the Wall.
Me too. I was thinking the lands of always winter.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
No, that's too north.
There.
Yeah, I'm not going that far. I'm not going past the Wall.
I'm not going past Winterfell. They got the springs. Yeah, Winterfell would probably be really dope. Dorne, too hot. I don't like the heat.
Yeah.
Sand.
Oh, the Isle of Faces.
Oh, good one, Steve.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I'd go to the Isle of Faces.
Okay. I like that. And it's hard to get to the Isle of Faces, like we talked about on Monday night stream.
Not if you're a stubborn Norwegian.
No, you guys are pretty well, or a Swede like another monster.
He wouldn't get there.
He wouldn't get there. That's fantastic. Good question. Where would you go now, Miss Martin Muse? You only seen the show and not a lot of the book yet, so you haven't seen a lot of the world in the book. But from maybe even the show, where would you go?
Well, as you've said, some of those things you just mentioned, I don't even know about yet. From the ones that I know, actually, the place, is it the Tyrells, the flower people?
Oh yeah, the Reach.
The Reach.
High Garden.
Okay, yeah.
Place to go. I mean, when you see a drawing of High Garden, it's like more like it's like Roman-esque, like or Greek like size pantheon like castle. It's huge, and it's the most fertile land in Westeros. So that's a good one.
They probably have the best food.
I wouldn't doubt it. I think that would be you know what, Smooth Jam, California. I think I'd like to take a tour. I'd like to bounce around, Essos doesn't do it for me. It feels very, I don't know, Dornish, maybe Bravos just to see it in the Titan of Bravos, but I don't know. Sorry, we really got off the topic there. And yes, Darkside Droid says the show portrayed most Northerners as just stubborn and naive. And he's absolutely correct on that. And another monster answers, I think it seems like that because they're in the South and have no clue about the customs. I think Southerners would be the same if the setting was in the North. Yes and no. I think Northerners are very direct. They're very upfront about what they want for the most most part, not the Boltons, but it's their customs are what they live and die for, their honor. I mean, think of it this way: the North do not have knights. The South only has knights. Okay, a knight is someone who you have to be knighted. It's almost political in a way at times. Look at how Jaime got knighted. He got knighted just because Aerys wanted to piss off Tywin and take away his heir. You know, so a knight, or well, Kingsguard, but he was knighted too. The North doesn't believe in knights. They only pick up swords when they have to kill somebody. They don't play in tourneys, you know. So I see what he means. That's a different world. Anybody have something?
Well, we see the Lannisters in the North. They play the same games that they played when they're in the South.
Right. And you know what? I think Southerners are more likely to be the type that when they go north, they don't even care about their customs. They stick to their own customs.
Exactly.
You know, kind of that douchey way of doing it. So anybody else have anything about Arya in this chapter?
Not right now.
No? All right. We had a couple.
Well, never mind.
Yeah, no, go ahead, please. Seriously.
No, it was almost a spoiler. Never mind.
Okay, hold it in. Hold it in. All right. So who is reading chapter 23 summary? Who did I give that to?
I don't know.
I think I gave it to you, Christy. I made a list in the damn chat.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
I know. I have it going back to the chat right now.
Oh my God. We are professional. We are professional.
Scott, the link that you just read, put it in the private chat. I had it open and then I deleted it.
I lost you there. What did you say?
Can you put the link that where you
Hold
were
on,
reading?
here you go. Well,
Yep.
I'm giving you chapter 23 in the chat, okay?
Okay.
All right, hold on. So while she's doing that, we'll go back to the chat for a second because that's what professionals do. They jump right to it. And I just want to let you all know who haven't been here. I have a TikTok page now, and I'm a big deal over there. Okay.
Lord.
In 2 days, I have more subs than I have on YouTube, more views than I have on YouTube, more likes than I even have views on YouTube. So if you want to check out my TikTok page, yeah, go ahead. And if you have any friends that want to sub me on YouTube, go right ahead. What do we have here? Smooth Jam California says, don't all the Stark kids except Arya have red hair like Catelyn in the books? So Rob does.
Bran does.
Bran does. Rickon.
I don't remember
wild
Rickon.
hair, but I don't remember the color. You might be right on that. And I think Arya and Jon are the only ones that actually have that very northern look. So you might have a very valid point there, man. I'm kind of blanking on Rickon now, but I'm going to go with you're right.
I wish that had been more clear.
Another
in the film,
monster.
I mean, in the show.
Well, right. And Rob is in the show. Rob's supposed to be kind of jacked for a young kid. Like he's supposed to be big and very Tully-ish, you know?
Well, you associate the physical size with the Tullys?
No. But I'm just saying they didn't cast them the way they look in the book.
Yeah, I
Like,
think they
Eddard
should have
Stark
lightened his
doesn't look
hair.
like Eddard Stark, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
They should have darkened his hair while they lightened Rob's hair. The only
But
one
his
that
personality is very northern. His personality is northern, but his hair, his look is Tully.
is his father's son.
Yeah. And
We find out in chapters coming up. I mean, he really is. Rob is one of my favorite characters in the books. I really, you know, he makes dumb mistakes like any young kid, and you never know. He might pay for that. We don't know. All right. So
He's doing a better job than his mom.
Yeah, he does. Even though she does give good advice. Oh, okay, we'll get on to that another time. All right, Christy.
You ready? Okay.
We are ready. Chapter 23. Who is it?
This is chapter 23. This is Daenerys 3.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yes, it is.
I read the top of it. I was like, I'm not reading that. I'm gonna let them just I had to pause real quick because I was laughing.
And of course, Christy
I think
got
you should read it.
thoroughly after.
No. So this is Daenerys Targaryen, and we're in the Dothraki Sea. Daenerys looks out for the first time onto the vast, empty, flat plain of the Dothraki Sea with Ser Jorah Mormont beside her. Daenerys sees she has outdistanced. Already fucking that up. Daenerys sees she has outdistanced the rest of Drogo's Khalasar, who are still climbing the ridge behind her. I'm reading this from my phone, by the way. Now,
that makes sense.
Among them, she can see her brother Viserys struggling with his writing. The sight brings back the memory of Illyrio offering to let Viserys stay in Pentos as his guest. Viserys has refused and insisted on coming with the Khalasar to ensure that Drogo would give him the army that he promised. Daenerys commands Jorah and the others to wait. Mormont comments that Daenerys is starting to sound like a queen, but Daenerys corrects him and says she's a Khaleesi. With me so far, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Damn, this is a long ass chapter.
It's okay. You know what? I don't care. It's my
Daenerys is getting a bit uppity.
Oh, she is.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Did you say she's getting uppity?
Yeah.
I think that's where he went. But let's finish and then we could fight. Hold it.
As she rides out alone, Daenerys reflects on the days of the journey have hardened her body. She no longer has open saddle sores, nor does she suffer unbearable pain after a day's ride. At first, Drogo would ignore Daenerys to spend his days talking, drinking, and riding with his blood riders, leaving her to eat meals alone or with Viserys or Jorah. Yet every night, Drogo would come and ride her from behind. She had been miserable until she had dreamt of a dragon that engulfed her in flames and cleansed her. After that, each day has been easier than the one before, and she has found pleasure in the new sights of the journey, even starting to enjoy sex with Drogo. There you go.
Drogo's like, yeah. Just look at the dragon eggs, darling. Just look at the dragon eggs.
Once she is totally alone, Daenerys decides to dismount and take off her boots so she can feel the earth. Suddenly, Viserys is there screaming and grabbing her. He is furious that she commanded him to stay on the ridge with the others. For the first time in her life, Daenerys shoves him back. For a moment, Viserys is shocked, but then the rage returns and Daenerys sees that he intends to harm her badly. Before he can, and I can never say his name, but one of the Blood Riders, his whip catches Viserys around the neck and pulls him to the ground. I can never... Jogo? Yeah. So her handmaiden Eerie translates as Drogo asks if Daenerys would like to see Viserys dead or disfigured as punishment for his attack. She declines, but tells them to take Viserys' horse and make him walk. A punishment among the horse lords. Viserys, now recovered enough to shout orders to Sir Jorah, there's my cat, to kill the Dothraki and discipline Daenerys. But the exiled knight makes the decision to turn to Daenerys and agree that Viserys should walk. Oh, poor baby.
I know, he's such a bitch.
She is amazed that she hit Viserys and asks Jorah if she has woken the dragon in Viserys. Jorah replies her brother Rhaegar was the last dragon, while Viserys is less than a shadow of a snake. Daenerys insists that Viserys is still the rightful king, but when Jorah asks her if she wants her brother as the king, she replies that Viserys would not be a good king. Even so, Daenerys remains convinced that the people of Westeros are praying for Viserys' return until Jorah explains that the peasants only pray for rain, health, and a summer that never ends. She declares that Viserys will never be able to retake the Seven Kingdoms, realizing that she has known this for a long time. Viserys could not lead an army even if her husband gave him one. She rides her silver ahead of Jorah and the others. It is dusk by the time she returns to the Khalasar. Daenerys imagines the laughter in the Khalasar when news spread about Viserys. By the time her brother can return, everyone in the camp will know him as a walker. Damn, that's cold. I love it.
Yes, it is.
As she enters her tent, Daenerys sees a finger of light touch her dragon eggs. And for a moment, she sees scarlet flames before her. When she touches the eggs, they feel hot, which she attributes to the sunshine during the day. Daenerys remembers all the stories about the other magical creatures and wonders why there should not also be dragons. Her Dothraki handmaidens, Irri and Joy tell her dragons were killed by man. However, the Lysy handmaiden Jorah, a former sex slave, tells Daenerys a story about a time when there were 2 moons in the sky, but one came too close to the sun and cracked to release the first dragon. The story ends by claiming that one day the other moon will crack and the dragons will return. The other handmaidens make fun of the story, insisting that the moon is a goddess, not an egg. Daenerys sends them away, but orders Doria to stay for her for dinner. When Drogo returns, she takes him outside because Dothraki custom says that everything of importance must be done under the open sky. When Drogo tries to take her from behind, Daenerys tells him that she wants to see his face and climbs on top of him.
Yeah, she does.
God damn it. I'm almost done.
Could you use more adjectives when you?
Yeah, I mean, right.
Okay.
Go full Fabio, trash novel.
She rides Drogo as fiercely as she has ever ridden her horse.
Oh,
and in the moment,
how fierce is that?
Drogo calls out her name. On the far side of the Dothraki seat, on her 14th name day, Daenerys' handmaiden brushes her stomach and tells her that she's pregnant.
Oh God, she's only 14. I forgot.
It got weird real quick.
It got really weird.
Uh-huh.
Okay. This chapter has so much stuff. I want to start with Teresa because first time reading this is a great chapter. What did you think?
Oh, it says so much about Daenerys' character development where she realizes, I think, at this moment that she is really the one with the power, not her brother, especially when her brother, who's dumber than a rock, placed his hands on her, which is for death. And the servant says, "Do you want me to kill him?"
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, don't kill him. But that's the thing, is that he still sees her as just a little sister that he can bully. And they're like, no, this is our queen. This is the Khaleesi. And then when she makes that move to make him walk instead of ride his horse, I wouldn't say that she becomes the bully, but she, because that's not what's happening here. She's asserting her power now. She's like, you have no power over me. It's beautiful. And then it continues, that whole thing that she realizes she has the power, and she talks to her handmaiden about the power of love.
Yes.
And well, it doesn't say as much here, but the TV show gets a lot more explicit, but we figured this was happening. She's kind of teaching her some technique. And then she takes the lead, the power in the intercourse with her husband, where she is the one doing the writing rather than him.
She is.
So it's a very different vision of where Daenerys was from the beginning to where she is now.
Yeah, she really changed her position.
She really got on top of that. Yeah, she really got on top of that.
Well, it wasn't just him being smutty. There was actually symbolism behind it.
Yes, very much so. I'm glad you said that. Go kind of expand on that if you like. If not, but
Well, no, just what I said.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just wondering. Okay.
He was always writing her, and then by the end, she was writing him.
And that's what this chapter is about.
Yeah.
Her not riding, but riding.
There's more symbolism, actually.
Oh, there's a lot of symbolism. Please jump on that, my friend.
Yeah, because this is the chapter where she becomes a Khaleesi. And you can see this at the beginning because she's not a good writer. And she's hurting all over from riding the horse, right? But at the end of the chapter, she's riding Khal Drogo,
Right.
and all through the chapter, she's becoming more and more Khaleesi. So it's like a little journey thing going on with Daenerys.
Right. What about Jayne?
Yeah, I mean, I think we see her grow into her role, and she begins to see what she's capable of. She also probably, for the first time in a long time, feels protected. You know, she's always been a princess, so she's always had power, but she's never really been able to freely exercise it. So it's interesting seeing her in the way that she was born, really. She was born to have this kind of power and confidence.
Also, Viserys has his horse taken away from him, which is mirroring Daenerys, who now learns to ride fully,
Right.
in a sense. But it's like both characters are being swapped.
Right, he's being neutered in a way because to the Dothraki, that is, if you're not on a horse, you're not a man.
Yeah, he's being basically relegated on all fronts, but she's being elevated, or she elevates herself.
Right. What about you, Christy?
I'm sorry, I was looking at my phone.
That's fine. No, my panel's not that important. Whatever. Thanks, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Oh, what's there to be said after what everybody has
I got her.
Oh,
I got more to say.
They're right, because you see her finally stand up to her brother and Jorah says that he's not a dragon, he's a snake.
Right.
So, and it's like she had to ask Jorah to reassure herself that she wouldn't be in trouble. And that's kind of heartbreaking in a way.
Right. You know what? That's a valid point. And Jorah realizing who he really wants to support is huge too, because he gives her for a long time, gives her that strength. What I think is really powerful about this chapter, she starts off Daenerys, Viserys' little sister, Khal Drogo's wife, and she ends it as Daenerys Stormborn, blood of my blood, Khaleesi. Now, one of the most important things. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Daenerys Pornstorm.
Yeah, sure. There is one if anybody wants to check. I've heard. So there is something that I've heard from a friend. But there's something very important. There's something that's very important that happens in this chapter. Daenerys is ready to give up. She doesn't feel like she deserves it. She can't do it. She's going to give up. And then she has a dragon dream.
Yeah.
Okay. And in this dragon dream, there's a lot of symbolism. But after she wakes up, she feels like more powerful. She feels like a Targaryen. And this is the first dragon dream we read about, if I'm correct. And it's, we'll talk about dragon dreams later down the road, but that's something, Miss Martin, to remember, is that Dany having this dragon dream is very important, because you see that prior to it, she's very weak and scared. And every time she has a dragon dream, she becomes strong again. And this is the first time she becomes strong. And she puts her brother in her place. She puts her man in his place. And she becomes the Khaleesi, and she brings fire and blood. Another powerful moment is where she actually has a waking vision of her dragon eggs and flame, and then the heat off of the eggs, wondering why dragons aren't around. Now, at the very end, we hear
this is a thing to make note of, though, because it's basically a flame vision, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
That is true.
Exactly. Ooh. Kind of a precursor, right? Wow, that's cool. Stig, nice catch, man. Nice catch. what else is very important is I believe the story. Now, I've talked about him before. Lucifer Means Lightbringer back in the day wrote and then made videos about this one chapter. And it's the story about the two moons. One got too close to the sun, cracked, and dragons came out. What he believes is how ancient man, even in our world, described meteors as dragons flying through the sky. The tail of a dragon. Well, it's talking about an ancient, not apocalyptic, but an ancient catastrophe that they handed down generation after generation to be the story of what happened to the other moon. Some people, I don't know if he said this, but I always felt this. I think that there were two moons, and when that moon cracked and all this stuff rained down, which could have been the black oily stone, because that is definitely not dragon stone. That is something completely different. But I think that might have caused the change in the seasons, and that's why seasons last the way they do. Because
also, during Ragnarok, the moon is supposed to disappear. So
say that again.
During Ragnarok, the moon is supposed to disappear.
Okay.
So if there were two moons, one disappeared before, and we've had one long night before.
Oh, are you kidding me? There were two moons.
Yeah, but no, only one moon in Ragnarok. But it seems that the long night has happened once before, right?
Correct.
So one moon vanished, and during Ragnarok, the moon is supposed to be swallowed. So,
well, also
maybe something's going to happen to the one they have left.
Right. You could also think that, if this moon was real and it blew up and meteors hit the earth and brought the oily black stone, you could also think of it as, think about what happened, if enough meteors or a big enough meteor hits the earth, it can cause almost like a nuclear winter where enough debris goes up into the sky and causes a winter, an ice age. Now, could that have brought the first long night? We don't know. There's moments here where George gives you a little something, and is it science fiction or is it fantasy? I don't know. And that's what I love about his writing. You could pick science fiction out of it, but it's everyone considers it fantasy. Something to think about. Anybody have anything?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I think we get all this talk leading up to this about the dragon being awakened, and we see that actually happen with her. What it really looks like when it happens.
What, with the flame?
The dragon dreams and the flames, and it's like the dragon inside her is becoming awake.
Viserys would always use it as a way to bully her.
Right.
Yes.
And oh gosh, girl, that's
deep.
Yes.
So he even says it in this chapter, you woke the dragon. And then we find out a little later in the chapter, the dragon woke in her. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's why I like doing this, guys. We try so hard not to spoil anything after Game of Thrones, this book, because we could spoil, through this book right now. Even then, we're not trying to do that. And we find new ways of looking at each chapter. I think that's why I love doing this panel. That's awesome. You got me thinking about that one. Anybody have anything else?
No, you got it. I mean, my
gosh.
That
was good. That was really good.
Yeah, it's more of a character development scene, isn't it? Oh, sorry, chapter. Same as with the Arya one, really.
Right, absolutely.
Everyone's coming into their position.
Right, they're finding something out about themselves.
Yeah, and
the same goes for Bran and Jon.
Daenerys wants to be in top position.
Yes.
Adam Price, welcome to the party, man. He's having wolf dreams. I wish I did. This is see, one of those chapters where I thought I knew everything about the chapter. Boom, something new I didn't even think about. So, all right, let's move on. Stig, you got the next chapter 24.
Yeah. It's a Bran
All right,
chapter.
buddy.
Bran is watching from the window as Rickon is playing with the wolves. Bran believes that Summer is smarter than the other wolves. He starts crying because he wants to play with the wolves and Rickon, which is a very cool thing for George to add, because I remember when I was a kid, I was sick and I saw the other kids outside playing.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a happy chappy. Anyway, continuing, Nan is telling her famous stories about the Long Night and the others and stuff like that. And she's interrupted by Lewin. And Hodor carries Bran to the Great Hall, where Tyrion and Robb is basically having a pissing contest.
Right.
Robb is not happy with Tyrion, and Tyrion is doing what Tyrion does. But Tyrion surprises them by giving them the design for Bran's new saddle. Robb is suspicious, but there seems to be no ulterior motive. Tyrion is actually being kind, and he says the famous line that he has a weak spot for cripples, bastards, and broken things.
Yeah.
The dire wolves enter with Rickon. The wolves growl at Tyrion. They're given news of Benjen. Benjen is lost beyond the wall. And Bran almost instinctively blurts out that Benjen will be saved by the children of the forest. Lewin remarks that they have been dead for thousands of years, but Yoren, Night's Watch member guy, disagrees. And later on, Robb tells Bran they will find a horse for him to do the saddle thing. Oh, and Bran has dreams, or he has a nightmare about gargoyles attacking him, which I thought was interesting because Tyrion is often referred to as a gargoyle.
Oh.
Right. So is that a premonition, right?
Don't know.
Because that was previous to Tyrion getting there. He had that gargoyle dream.
No,
I
it
don't
was
know.
right
That's
after.
cool.
It was right after, wasn't it?
Oh, you might be right. I might be messing that up.
Yeah, but he has
Anything else with you?
no, just that he has a soft spot for bastards. I like that.
Another monster says, Hodor. Hodor? Hodor, 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 Hodor. I think that was very deep.
He's speaking Swedish.
Oh. I have a soft spot in my heart for cripples, bastards, and broken things. Good guy, Tyrion. So one thing that you didn't say that I thought was, we learned something about Northern custom here. When Tyrion enters the Great Hall, Robb is sitting in the Lord's seat, and he has his sword across his lap. When you have a sword across your lap in a Northern house, that means guest rights will not be offered. You do not have protection in this house. You are not a welcomed guest. That is a big statement in the North. And I thought that was really interesting, that that's the sign of you're not welcome, but yet down in the crypt, they all have swords across their laps. It's almost like,
wow,
you're not welcome here. The crypts are ours, stay out. And I always wondered about that.
That's a nice catch.
that is cool.
Well, perhaps symbolizing that you're not dead yet, so stay away from the dead, go and be among the living. Is that?
It could be, and I've wondered that, actually, Teresa. I've never actually talked about it, but that's one of the things I thought too. Is it you're alive, I'm dead, get out of here type thing? Like, don't be down here too long? Or is it we're protecting something down here? You are not invited. Because we always hear there's something about the crypts.
Right.
Or they think something could happen with the dead.
What do you mean?
They can rise again and attack them.
Well, that's what they tell us. They tell us the swords are to keep the angry spirits in. Okay. And we all have ideas on that. We've talked about it on Monday nights, but I've always wondered, that's a big deal in the North, is that sword across the Lord's lap means you are not protected in my home. You do not have guest rights. So why would they do that in the crypts? You know, I feel like there's a missing message that George is trying to tell us with the sword, this chapter, and we've all missed it. And I just don't know what he's trying to say. That's, you know, so I thought I'd throw it out there for people to think about. And another monster says it perfectly. Guest rights are revoked. You know, you are no longer, you're even if you were a guest once, you are no longer a guest here.
Which has to be terrifying for the guest.
Which also shows that Rob might be taking after his mother because he's impulsive. And he's already made up his mind before Tyrion arrives. But, and he's proven wrong during the conversation.
And I'm wondering why. Is this over the act, what happened to Lady on their way down? You know, or is it because he, you know, oh, well, it's probably because of what his mother told him. I know that. But like, why show your cards? So it is impulsive. You know, like he should have been Lewin, because Lewin knows, you know, Lewin should have counseled him better. Like, do not put it out there that we know he's involved. Because first of all, you know, whatever. I was just about to spoil. You know,
Catelyn's a dumbass.
Catelyn's a dumbass, you know?
And she's raised a dumbass.
Well, we don't know that she didn't advise him to do this.
Right. You know, just like she's going to advise everyone to put more men at the neck, have the banners ready, and keep an eye on Greyjoy.
Another thing that I believe is important is when Nan is telling the stories, she mentions that the others eat babies. Which it might be different from what we saw on the show, right? And Nan is also telling the story about the last hero, who was a mythical guy who was there when the Knights Watch was founded and the wall came up.
Right, and may have been a Stark, I think she says, right?
Yeah, and he was last north of the wall with his companions and dog.
Dog and horse, 12 of them. 12 companions, a dog, and a horse. Yep.
Which makes 13 people, actually. But but they were being chased by the others. That's the last I saw of him.
Well, I like what Smooth Jam says here. I really do, actually. Old Nan is the true deity of Westeros. She's just hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, I mean, she does seem like, why is she still alive?
She has to be over. They don't even remember which brand she was wet nurse to. That's how long she's been there. People have figured it out, but it's at least it's like.
But she was old even then. That's
Ned's great uncle, right? It's like Ned's great uncle. Like, I mean, she's like over 100-something years old.
Well over.
So, right. She's closer to, you know, a blood raven age than she is to anybody else. I mean, you know, we did.
So it makes you wonder if her entire appearance is a glamour.
Oh snap!
Oh no!
You ever hear she's wearing jewelry? I don't know.
But Hodor seems to be a half giant.
Well, yeah.
So maybe she has something to do with a certain Targaryen bastard in the far north,
or a certain hedge knight.
Yeah, because he's of the same age.
Close. He's a little bit older, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it could be a half sibling.
Or it could be
I know, exactly. I know. It's not really spoil. I mean, that's in the history books. But did Bran have the vision yet? he has. Oh God, I'm spoiling everything. I'll shut up. Okay, so this is so hard sometimes. I'm going to read a little from the chat. So think about some other things about this chapter. He's acting like an idiot Tully and not a badass Stark. You got a point
But
there.
I mean, the Brandon Stark was really aggressive too.
He
I mean,
was.
that aggression is kind of wolfish,
Brandon Stark
overt
might have just
aggression.
took off his head.
right? He would have just
I mean,
been dead.
you got a valid point there. This is I mean, and he's also using. It's not like he attacks Tyrion. He's using an old custom
Mm-hmm.
without saying a word. You know, he's showing him what he means without.
Right.
But he's being polite enough as a lord, but he's showing because Tyrion's not dumb. Somebody else might not have realized what he was doing, but Tyrion is book smart. He knows a lot and he understands what this means. It could have been another Southern person that had no clue what he was doing. You know.
Yeah.
I think he knew Tyrion would know. He was showing power in that moment.
He was. And doesn't Bran like this is the first time I saw my brother, you know, as the Lord, not just my brother. Rob, you know, Rob's pulling a power play, but if Catelyn didn't say what she'd said in the chapters previous,
Right.
you know, probably wouldn't be acting like this. I have it's weird that though that Lewin
It's all her
did not
fault.
talk him out of this. Once again, a maester not doing his job.
It's something I noticed. And Toriel actually made me aware of this when she was reading book one. When Nan is talking about the last hero, Lewin walks in and they're cut off. Cuts off the story. So it's almost like science cutting off folklore.
Or a maester cutting off knowledge because they control all the knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good one, man.
I'm thinking there was more to that story.
Oh,
Right.
definitely.
Very important stuff. And the last hero, I think, is something to make note of.
That's a good one, man. That's a good one. Yeah, I don't trust him. I don't trust any of the maesters, but I mean, he's really the one we've met and I don't trust him.
Lewin, I trust. He seems decent.
Nah, he loves the kids. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's more of a Tully supporter than a Stark supporter.
I think they have their own agenda.
They definitely do. Don't forget, he wasn't originally with House Stark when Catelyn moved to Winterfell. He came with her. And he was one of the ones that talked Ned into going south. Unlike the show, Ned did not want to go south. It was Lewin and Cat that talked him into it because you don't want to disrespect a king. Don't forget that.
Even though Starks die down there.
Starks don't do well in the South. Yes, you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Oh, man. I mean, there's so much information in every chapter. Like, one thing I could say about George Martin, he doesn't waste a chapter. At least in the first book, he doesn't waste one chapter.
One sentence.
Yeah, everything is everything. He means something with everything. It's freaking awesome. All right. Anyway, Christy, did you have anything on this chapter? I know you had to bounce out.
Not really. Pretty much everybody has made the points known. And again, Tyrion doesn't get the credit that he deserves, I think. In the beginning. Right. And so, yeah, everybody did good. I was listening to y'all while I was trying to restart the computer, so no, I'm good.
Oh man. Yes, it is, Stig. So all right, we're gonna go on to chapter 25.
Okay.
Jayne, that's you, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Ned meets with Grandmaster Pycelle in the stifling heat that has covered the city. Pycelle talks about how the small folk claim that the last year of summer is the hottest. The Grand Maester goes on to say that he does not believe this, noting that King Makar's summer was even hotter and broke in the 7th year, leading to a short autumn and a terrible long winter. Then Pycelle digresses about being a young man forging his Maester's chain during the reign of King Micah I. Finally, Pycelle remembers that Ned asked about John Arryn and explains that Lord Arryn was melancholy but healthy, then suddenly became ill. He had asked Pycelle about a book, and Pycelle remembers noting that something was troubling him. The next day, Lord Arryn was twisted over in pain, unable to get out of bed. Ned mentions that he's heard that Pycelle sent away Lord Arryn's Maester. Pycelle states that this was because he felt Maester Coleman didn't understand the older body and was endangering Lord Arryn's life with purging potions. Ned asks if Lord Arryn had any final words. Pycelle responds that John Arryn called out the name Robert several times, but does not know if he was talking about the king or his son. His last words were whispered to Lysa Arryn and King Robert, "The seed is strong." Next, Ned asks if there was anything unnatural about the death, and follows up by asking if Pycelle had seen any illness like this before. Pycelle states that he's seen more of illness than he would like to remember, and that every illness is different and yet alike. Eventually, Pycelle says that John Arryn's death was no stranger than any other. When Ned mentions that Lysa thinks otherwise, Pycelle says that grief can derange minds, and Lysa's mind was not the best before, seeing enemies in every corner. When Ned suggests that John Arryn could have been poisoned, the Grand Maester rebuffs him, asking who would do such a thing. Ned replies that he has heard poison is a woman's weapon. Pycelle replies that poison is the preferred weapon of women, cravens, and eunuchs. He continues by telling Ned that Varys was born a slave in lease, and that Ned shouldn't trust him. Ned scarcely needs reminding, as he already has a bad feeling about Varys. Ned excuses himself, but the Grand Maester halts him to offer any other service Ned may require. Ned uses the opportunity to ask for the book John Arryn asked for. Pycelle says it's a ponderous tome of lineages that Ned would find boring. Ned insists he would like to see the book in any case, and Pycelle promises to send it to him once he finds it. On the way out, Ned also learns that Queen Cersei was not in King's Landing when John Arryn died. Pycelle's parting words are, "I'm here to serve," leading Ned to think, yes, but whom? On his return to the Tower of the Hand, Ned finds Arya on the steps, standing on one foot. When Ned asks what she's doing, she tells him that Syrio Forel says that a water dancer can stand on one toe for hours. Ned expresses his concern about her falling down the steps, but Arya states that a water dancer never falls. Then Arya asks if Bran will come to live with them now, and Ned responds that first he must grow stronger. Speaking of Bran, leads Ned to recall taking the girls to the castle Godswood to offer their thanks when the news of Bran's recovery arrived. The girls had gone to sleep and dreamed of Bran, while Ned stood vigil all night. While balancing on her leg, Arya asks about Bran's plan to be a knight of the King's Guard. Ned admits that Bran won't become a knight, but he may become a lord, a counselor, an architect, an explorer, or even a high septon, even while privately noting that Bran will never lie with a woman or father a son. When Arya asks if she can do any of these things, Ned says that she will marry a king, and her sons will do these things. Arya replies, "That's Sansa, not her." Later, Ned meets with Littlefinger in his solar. Littlefinger, who is watching the King's Guard practicing in the yard below, starts with small talk about who might win the tourney. This does not interest Ned at all, so he asks Littlefinger to get to the point. Ned cannot find it in himself to trust Littlefinger. Littlefinger tells him that 4 of John Arryn's household are still in the city, which surprises Ned, who thought that all had gone back to the Eyrie with Lysa. Littlefinger reveals the names, which include John Arryn's squire, Sir Hugh of the Vale. He also reveals that Sir Hugh was knighted by the king after Lord Arryn died. Ned states that he will send for them, but Littlefinger does not think this is a good idea and asks Ned to come to the window. Littlefinger identifies some of the spies among those outside his window. One is Varys, the other is the Queen's. He tells Ned that there are others, and some even he does not know. He cautions Ned to send a man he trusts completely to question these people rather than doing it himself. Even Varys cannot watch every man in Ned's service every hour of the day. As Littlefinger departs, Ned expresses his gratitude and says he was perhaps wrong to distrust him. Littlefinger fingers his beard and replies that distrusting him is the wisest thing Ned has done since he climbed down off his horse.
Man, that is a good chapter too.
That is an incredible chapter.
What do you think, Jayne?
Oh, there's so much. Jesus. It's interesting that Littlefinger is pointing the finger at Varys as someone not to be trusted.
Mm-hmm.
And you can almost compare his conversation with Ned to his conversation with Kat. Did we? I can't remember. We talked about that.
What?
It's on.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Shoot. I think I moved too far ahead. Never mind.
Okay, that's fine. Is it in this book? If it's in this book, you're all right. You're all right if it's in this book.
Okay.
So
But
this chapter's great. Go ahead.
He's sowing discord. He's being honest-ish,
Right.
but he's also sowing this. He's feeding into the mistrust,
Right.
that Ned already has, as if to make him more paranoid and lead him in what is possibly the wrong direction, to create chaos, which is what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Real quick, and then we'll go to Teresa. Adam Price, please remember that question about Lewin for Monday night, because I never thought about that. So please ask that question again, the one I had up earlier. What do you think, Teresa?
I really like this chapter because it was full of the murder mystery. It was one of those whodunit things. There were so many clues being dropped left and right about the knight, or the squire that became a knight, and the poison is a woman's drink, or eunuchs.
Right.
So that hit, and then the whole big clue: the seed is strong. Like, what the heck is that supposed to mean?
Right. Is he
Right.
talking about his son being strong? Is he talking about Robert? Like, what is he talking about? What did you get from Pycelles this chapter? What was your feeling on him?
My feeling on him is he's just such a court politician. It's ridiculous.
Right.
And very vague, and just not one to be trusted.
Right. Almost like what Jayne just said about Littlefinger, like seeming like he's helping, but he's not.
Exactly. Precisely. Saying everything, but saying nothing.
Right. And I also, this is one of those moments where I feel like Ned missed something. And like when he asked about him sending John Aaron's maester away, and he said, he doesn't know the body. He was trying to purge him. Well, he died the next day. So was he doing the right thing and you stopped it? Or was he doing the wrong thing and it just rushed his death? You know what I mean? Like, the first time I read this, I'm like, wait a minute, dude. Why didn't you look like that's something I would have thought about right away? Like, wait, his maester was doing an all right job purging him, and then now you send him away and he dies the next day.
Yep.
Something to think about. What else? Anything else about the chapter itself, Teresa?
Well, no, just those aspects of it that struck me. It's like you're gathering an evidence bag, and there's more evidence to pick from it. I didn't catch a lot of the clues. Let me rephrase that. When I was watching it on the TV show, I think that I may not have caught every clue if I hadn't seen the show and knew to what it was all going to be referring. And am I the only one that when they were talking about that sweet lemonade drink or something, I really wanted a drink of that? It sounded so good because they're talking about how hot it is. And
yeah, it's like the hottest day. And think about, I always wonder that too. It keeps getting hotter, and they're from the north. Like, that's such an unfair advantage. Everybody else seems all right, like a little hot. The northerners, like Ned, is like miserable,
dying.
So I always wonder, he's dying, exactly. And does that go into also his not not thinking clearly as he was even just a few days prior. You know, like
I can believe that because, even though I'm from the South myself, I can't take it. Like I can't think clearly
Mhm.
when it gets that hot. And he's conducting this investigation, and he knows his family's in danger. His mind should be perfectly clear, but it can't be.
Right, because the heat. Heat is evil,
It is for someone who's definitely not accustomed to it.
and that's me.
It-
I hate the heat.
Absolutely. And one could argue that isn't that symbolic of not just the environment literally, but the environment figuratively as well. That he's in.
Mhm.
Right. I just want to answer a quick question. Toxic Man Flu. First of all, thank you, my brother, for being here and trying to help out with watch hours. Everyone, if you can like, share, and subscribe, that'd be awesome. But headphones will be here tomorrow or Friday. A couple of the guys.
Headphones?
What's that?
What happened to your headphones? What the hell?
Duct tape.
I look like Princess Leia or something. Yeah, they. I
Duct
have a
tape was
big melon.
everything.
I don't know if you noticed that. I got a big melon, and one side cracked, and while I was trying to fix the other side cracked. So,
Was this during the live stream?
it happened over a period of weeks, but
Okay.
it happened while I was on a stream. Yes, but Thomas Gilkey, Culture Casino, and Ord's Board donated to my PayPal account, which is on the screen right now, and I was able to buy a brand new nice set of headphones that will hopefully fit my head better, and I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, those are my headphones. They still work. Okay, back to the show. So let's see. I want to share this again. What do you think, my friend Stig Stannis Baratheon?
Well, like Teresa said, it's a murder mystery chapter. It really is, and it fleshes out Littlefinger and Pycelle a bit, their personality. Yeah, it's what I call a traveling chapter in terms of plot, I guess. It's very plot heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't think there's more to add that hasn't been said so far by the other panelists. It's murder mystery chapter.
Yeah,
Pay attention kind of chapter.
There you go. I think that's the best way of putting it, man. It's one of those you got to pay attention because there's so much going on. Pycelle's is just throwing little nuggets of what he wants Eddard to think, and you pick that up the first read. Like, poison's a woman's tool, sending away the maester. He was just muttering things. Oh, when I find the book, I'll send it over to you. It's, boring. You don't want to read it. It's like, to me, it was like red flags. Don't listen to this guy. Do what you need to do type shit, I don't know. But, all right. Anybody have anything else on this one?
Nope.
All right. So we will go on to the last chapter of the night. Oh, that is me. Shoot. All right. Let me get that real quick. And here we go. 26 is the chapter. And that one is, and let me make sure I say this. We are using Westeros.org is where we're getting our summaries from. So I'd like to thank them. It's a great site, a wiki of Ice and Fire. This is a John chapter. Sam Tarley appears in the yard. So John is helping the other recruits with their swordsmanship When Sam Tarley, the fattest boy he has ever seen, enters the yard, Sam nervously explains he has been told to come there for training, and Pip identifies him by his voice as a lordling from near Highgarden. Sam is immediately ridiculed by Sir Alistair Thorne, who says they are now sending pigs to man the wall. Although Sam has brought his own armor, none of it is black, so he has to re-equip, which requires some ingenuity by the armorer. When Sam returns, Sir Alistair sends Halder, a very strong boy, against him. In under a minute, Sam is on the ground with a broken helm, screaming that he yields. When Sam refuses to stand up, Thorne tells Halder to hit him with the flat of the blade until he gets up. The initial hit is tentative, but Thorne insists that Halder can hit harder, and the next blow splinters leather. John objections are initially stopped by Pip, but after another blow, John shakes him off and states there is no honor in beating a beaten foe. John helps Sam up, which Sir Alistair mocks him as defending his lady love, declaring it is training exercise. Thorne sends Halder, Rast, and Albert to get past John to beat Sam. John braces himself for a hard fight. Sir Alistair has sent 2 boys against him before, but never 3. To John's surprise, Pip and Grin come to his aid. The boys going against John hesitate, but John attacks. John soon takes out Halder, but not before taking a damaging blow to his shoulder. Then he helps Pip take down Rast. Once Rast is down, Abbott yields and Sir Alistair leaves in fury. Halder wrenches off his helmet and throws it across the yard, declaring that he thought he had John. John admits that he almost did. When John attempts to remove his helm, his shoulder is it's painful. Sam, his head is bloody where his helmet had been split, comes over and helps John remove his helmet gently. Sam introduces himself, and John, they all introduce themselves. When asked why he did not fight back, Sam states that couldn't because he is a coward. John and his friends are speechless. Who would admit to being a coward? Seeing the response of John and his friends, Sam apologizes to them, stating he does not like being a coward. As Sam leaves for the armorer, John tells him tomorrow he will do better, but Sam insists that he won't. So after Sam leaves, Gren states nobody likes cowards and is worried what others will think if they are associated with a coward. Pip responds is that if Gren met a bear in the woods, he would be too stupid to run away. Grin insists that he would run faster than Pip, then attack Pip when he realizes the trick. Okay, whatever. 4 recruits. Morning are for swordplay and afternoons are for other work, which is varied so the watch can measure a recruit's skills. This afternoon, Jod has spread gravel on top of the wall by himself. This gives him a chance to contemplate Sam. He thinks about Tyrion Lannister's statement about denying a hard truth and realizes that Sam's admission of a coward took a certain kind of courage. When he enters the common hall where dinner is almost done, John passes his friends and joins Sam, who is sitting by himself. After introducing Ghost in some polite conversation, John asks Sam to join him outside to talk. As they walk, Sam admits that he did not think the Night's Watch would be like this. All the buildings are falling down, and it's cold. John suggests it must be warmer where Sam lived, and Sam explains he had never seen snow until a month ago. Jesus, this is a long one. John leads Sam to the wall. Sam balks at climbing the great wooden stairs. John replies that they could take the wench. When John asks why the boy who is afraid of everything would join the watch, Sam starts to cry until Ghost licks his face, which makes both of them laugh. They continue talking before long. John starts talking about Winterfell. John reveals a dream he's been having of returning to Winterfell to find it completely empty. As he is telling about the dream, John thinks about how several rangings have been made to find Benjen Stark, whose trail just disappeared. In his dream, John always finds himself descending the stairs to the crypt in the dark, and it's then that he wakes up. Very important. John asks if Sam ever dreams of Hornhill. Sam insists that he does not and that he hates it there. After a long silence, Sam tells the story of why he's at the wall. So real quick, his father, Randall Tarley, is disgusted with him being his eldest son. He's all into books and all this. You know, he tried to get all these master at arms to make him a man. He's not a man, but his second son, Dickon, when he was born, he became, he's the man Randall wanted. So on his 15th name day, Sam says he was escorted to his father in the woods, where he was informed that he was forsake his claim to Hornhill and join the Night's Watch, or else his father would arrange an accident. John finds it strange that Sam tells the story in such a detached voice and does not weep. John tells Sam about some of the other recruits, and Sam eventually states he should get some sleep. John returns to the common room. His friends explain that they did not shun Sam. There were places on the bench, but Sam was such a craven that he just passed them. John persuades them to all not to beat Sam anymore, whatever Sir Alistair says. Rast, however, insists if Thorne sends him against Lady Piggy, he will cut off a rasher of bacon, and laughs in John's face. That night, John, Pip, Gren, and Ghost visit Rast in his cell. I love how they call it a cell. With Ghost's mouth around Rast's throat, John tells him, know where he sleeps. After that, no matter what Alistair said, no one attacked Sam. John now realizes Robb, Bran, and Rickon are his father's son, but he has never been one of them. His true brothers are outcasts of the Night's Watch. He realizes his uncle was right and wonders if he will ever see Benjen again. Whew. That was a lot. Sorry about that, but it was needed to be said. All right. Who would like to start this one? Go.
Well, I think that this is another great character development moment. It shows us this new character, Sam, but it also is telling us a lot about John, that he reaches the point by the end, as it just said in the last sentence or so, that he realized that the Night's Watch is his family, that it's really becoming his family. It's something that they always say, they call each other brother, but it's actually becoming so in reality. And I think it's kind of cool.
Right. Like he's almost accepting his place. By the end, he accepts that he is not a Stark of Winterfell. He's a man of the Night's, part of the Night's Watch.
Yeah. Well,
I
maybe
think that's a very valid point.
In the fact that it's also another noble lord who is rejected. This guy was the legitimate heir to everything, and his father despised him. And so he, in a way that he and Sam are in similar positions, even though one's completely legitimate, his father cast him off. So they're kind of both little orphans in a way.
Mm-hmm. That is definitely true. What about you, Jane?
Yeah, and I think you're starting to see him take on sort of a leadership position. When he started there, he was the arrogant, sort of noble, know-it-all, goody two-shoes. And you're beginning, like you were saying, he's starting to not only see himself as a brother, but also starting to embody the big brother leadership role, protective of his brothers, and strengthening them as he sort of gains true strength in who he is in this new environment.
Taking that leadership role as a big I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like Sir Alistair making fun of him in the chapters before, and him, the Smitty telling him, like, look, you might be a bastard, but you're still, you were in a castle, you were trained by a master at arms, you have skills these boys do not. And he took that to heart, and we're seeing this now in this chapter with this fat kid Sam, who has some form of bravery to say, I'm a coward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to be here. I have to be here or I'll be dead.
It's almost like John is looking for strength and ability in his fellow Night's Watch members.
Hmm.
So he's making note of Sam not being able to fight, but he's also seeing that he's useful because he has some kind of bravery, right?
Yeah.
It's like he's assessing him.
Mm-hmm.
We also see another example of the Stark Wolf combo, when he has Ghost, when Ghost has his mouth around the kid's neck.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, again, I imagine what they would be like if all of the kids and all of the wolves and other Starks throughout history, just how that would look, and why people would have begun to follow them over the years.
And fear them too.
And fear them.
Yeah.
It's just the sheer power of that. It's amazing.
And let's not forget, Ghost isn't fully grown yet.
Right.
And he has this, and you see that. I mean, he's not fully grown. He's not that old. It's only been a few months, yet he has this self-control to just wrap his teeth around the kid's neck. So there has to be some special control John has with Ghost. We're starting to see that more and more. If you don't have a trained animal and you tell him to, let him on somebody, like how did Ghost know to grab him by the throat and just hold it? Right?
Yeah.
Like we're starting to see little traces of there's something more going on here.
They're so in sync.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, and just the fact that he brought Ghost, in a way, I thought it was kind of cute. It's like they were going to go teach him a lesson, and Ghost the dog or the pet comes along too. And I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And that he's a part of the team.
And can you just imagine what that looks like? That wolf walking up to him.
That would scare the crap out of me.
Or you wake up to that, like, what's that on my throat? Oh my God. Whatever you say, John, I'll do whatever you say. Like shit. That would be frightening. So frightening. It's also cool because someone said it, Sam and John, the buddy duo of Game of Thrones. We're not going ahead of the book, but you do see that brotherhood. Pip, Gren, Sam and John, they replace, Bran, Rob, and Rob. 3 guys replace 3 guys, and they're his brothers now. And once again, we're being reminded that Benjen is missing, still missing, and his path has gone cold. Christy or Stig?
I'll let Christy go.
Sam is still a little bitch.
Oh.
What?
I love Samuel Tarly. I really do. But I mean, again, how I'm so mean.
No. Let it rip, sister.
But you have your father who's supposed to be this big towering man who takes him out to the woods and basically disinherits him and says he'll gut him if he doesn't renounce his title and that he has to join the Night's Watch. Sam didn't have to join the Night's Watch. He relinquished his title. So he couldn't stay at home, but he didn't have to go to the Night's Watch. He is just that.
Oh no, he had to.
No, he was to kill him.
He would have killed him though.
He wanted to be, he couldn't go be a maester. He was told you have to go to the Night's Watch because that's the only way legally. Even maester can change after. Well, can they after their vows? I don't know. But he didn't want him to be a maester because that wasn't manly enough. So he said you have to go to the Night's Watch.
Yeah.
He didn't have a choice. He was going to die, and he couldn't defend himself.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Christy. He's a big,
But you see that, and then with John and Pip and Green, he was so surprised that someone would actually defend him.
I know it's sad.
that, I mean, I was just like, oh my God, my heart breaks a little bit for him.
But he's still a big vag. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you
I
have
love
to
it,
wonder,
Christy.
what
You
was
rock.
he doing that he didn't grow up? I don't understand why he wasn't.
Right.
Well,
Was
it
he mothered
wasn't
too
in
much?
his
Was his
nature.
dad?
Yeah.
And his dad beat him
Yeah, but
down for
still.
his whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, still, if you're growing up a Lord's son, you're gonna learn a little.
Firstborn. Yeah.
You know, your firstborn son, you're gonna be forced to at least be able to block one blow. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't even do like really even that. He just gets his ass lays down.
But it also shows polar opposites that in what y'all talked about earlier, and how even though John, what did it say at the end? That John realizes that Rob, Brain, and Rickon are his father's sons, and he could never be one of them. But you see the way that John grows up, even though he was a bastard, he had that family, even though it was somewhat detached. And he was, but Samuel grew up and he was he was not, what is it? What am I trying to say? When it's John's a bastard, he was a natural born son, if that's right.
Yeah, he's a natural. Yes, yes.
He was a natural born son, and he had all the comforts, but his father could not get around his son just being such a craven, and so that's when I start to see the
Right.
the great dynamic.
But Sam shouldn't have been. Like, he should have taken more responsibility for himself. Even Arya fights. I mean, it's not proof. You know, it's not something that they encourage necessarily, but even she learned a little bit.
Well, that's what I mean, just a little bit. Go ahead, Stig.
Sam is a big pansy.
Yeah. He's a pansy.
Yeah. And his dad is hardcore too. His dad is one of the greatest military minds in the Seven Kingdoms.
And their family is known for not backing down. That's
honorable.
Right.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's so clear. Oh, sorry.
Sam's dad was the only one who defeated Robert, right?
Yes. He's the only one that gave him that loss, where I think that's where he gave him the loss, and then Robert went and hid in that town, didn't he? Was that battle? I'm pretty sure. Right before the Battle of the Bells.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Teresa?
Oh, I was just going to say, the way I was looking at it is so obvious from the very beginning that Sam, it's just not in his nature at all to be anything but to sit around with a bunch of books and play music. And if that had been nurtured in him, perhaps instead of beating him down, perhaps he would have been able to grow into it, because you don't try to suppress the talents of your child. So I'm just wondering that if he'd have been a little more accepting of Sam's more contemplative nature and not been so hard on him, that he might have actually paradoxically developed into more of the son that he wanted.
Yeah, but we also can't put our societal views on it. This is medieval. You know what I mean? Like you're a man of the house. You're the firstborn. You, at some point growing up, like your whole life, you're told this is what you're going to be. And Sam is the exact opposite. I find it hard that he's fat. Like he's the fattest person John has ever seen. You know, like how did Lord Tarly allow that to get to that point?
He wasn't training.
Right?
He
why
sat
not
around reading books and eating.
Is this the first chapter where Alistair Thorne is also mentioned too?
No, second.
No,
it's the second chapter.
Well, and we also but we did have some hints though that the mother indulged Sam a bit too, didn't she?
Yes, very much so.
It's always the women that mess up the kid.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I'm not trying to give excuses to him. I guess what I'm saying is that, we would have situations like that in the Middle Ages where they would do that, and instead of joining the quote unquote night watch, men would become priests. That's how they would get around it. Priest or a monk, they would take the cowl, and that actually the Night's Watch was probably the perfect place for Sam.
Right.
So he wouldn't
the
have been a
Citadel
good
would be the
lord.
perfect place for him. He should have allowed him to be a maester, but no man in their family was going to be a maester because to him that's, maesters aren't they're girly men. Now Jayne even puts their house words are first in battle. I don't understand how Randall Tarley allowed it to go this far. I understand that in our world you can't, but in that world, he, as a little kid, he could have beat him till he started doing what he wanted him to do. Like, it's sad, but it's true.
Something to make note of, though. First in battle with Sam. Something to make note of.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I
Very
got that.
good point. Very good point.
And I'm looking back. You know how Sam was crying and Ghost licks his face, like to cheer him up and stuff like that. Has Ghost, other than John, you also see that start a little bit too.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Ghost is. I mean, he's Ghost. He's friendly, but he's not. I mean, that's the first person I remember, other than John, he shows affection to.
But remember, that can also go back to with John and Ghost. I mean, with their connection too,
right?
Because Ghost can pick up on, I don't know if they're basically emotions with John, I guess, in a roundabout way.
Right. Right. No, that's true.
Let's see. What else?
I don't know.
His mom.
I'm trying to think.
I did check out their family tree, and apparently his mom is a Florent, so that's that High Garden group,
right?
So she may have raised him very soft,
more dainty.
Yeah,
right. Because they're a Reach family.
Yeah,
they're bannermen of the Tarleys, or of the High Garden. Who's High Garden again? Oh my God, I'm blanking.
So
Marjorie Tyrell.
Yeah,
I always have to remember Marjorie first.
Well, in movie he allowed it to also go on because he had that other brother. So maybe the dad had it in his mind all along.
He's a lot younger than him.
Oh, I know, but he was planning on it. It was just like, okay, this kid's not going to change. Whatever, I'll just let him go until he's old enough to join the Night's Watch.
No, show,
I'm wondering that too. Did he? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, in the show, did Sam say it was his 18th birthday or his 15th birthday? Wait, never mind. They aged up the characters. I answered my own fucking question. Never mind.
Right. 15th, exactly. So how old is Dickin? Because in the show, it's a big difference. How old is Dickin compared to Sam? He's at least, he's quite younger, right? It's not like 2 or 3 years. I thought it was much more than that. I could be wrong. Does anybody know out there in the chat? I see Mason said Dickin was already born, but I don't know how old.
Yeah. Well, it was enough to know that he had aptitude for being the knight and the soldier that his father wanted him to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know.
Given how Sam is being treated, it's not difficult to understand why the younger one would really try hard at being a soldier.
Yeah. No, that's true.
What else, guys? We got static air going.
I know. We're all thinking. I'm sorry. It's a
lot to think about.
Silence is not good for a stream. No, that's something to think on. I don't. It's hard for me to believe, even with a younger brother, that kid had to at least grow up a little bit to him to realize that this is the son I wanted. Like Sam, at least, 5, 6 years old. You know what I mean? Like.
But I think you could tell.
Yeah,
I mean, he was a boy's boy.
No, you're right.
Wait a minute. What about this? This gives John a chance to contemplate Sam. He thinks about Tyrion's statement about denying a hard truth and realizes that Sam's admission of cowardice took a certain kind of courage. I know that we already talked about that, but
I think that's
again,
valid to bring up though. Again,
John is thinking about Tyrion and what they've talked about again. So
Nance V Star is saying that there's only like a 5-year difference. So that makes sense then. 15 by the age of 10 in this world, this kid could be a warrior or not.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. It does take Sam. I mean, that statement is important. Sam is brave in a different way than what men are supposed to be in this world. Fighters, strong men in battle. Sam's bravery is being honest. Being able to just say what is true in his heart. And I think that's something maybe in the future might, be important.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of courage to know yourself, especially if it's not necessarily what is expected of you.
Right. Socially accepted even.
Mm-hmm.
But also you think about Ned, he was what, the second son or something? He didn't grow up a aggressive fighter, stark, but he stepped into the role. I mean, he did what he had to do when his brother was killed.
Right.
I think Sam just he just couldn't understand what his responsibility was, and that should have superseded his personal desires.
Right. I think what George is, I mean, I don't know if this is considered spoiler, but I think what we learn in Game of Thrones, even this book, is that even what you're expected to be, might not be the strength people think they need, but it's the strength that they will need in the future. Because Sam definitely is a rock for John when John needs it most.
Mm-hmm.
So he has valor. It's just not in the sense of what a man is supposed to be in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I didn't think that this chapter was that deep, but it's getting there.
Yeah. Just like all of them.
I'll tell you, once again, another.
Damn you, George.
That's not what I'm laughing at.
What are you laughing at?
Another monsters comment you got highlighted.
Oh, yeah, Dick Cheney style. That's Tarly. That's Tarly. All right. Well, do we have anything anybody wants to talk about? Any of the chapters, all together, what we read, what we discussed. We'll go around. Anything with you, Stig?
No.
Nothing out with your with Ragnarok. Anything new?
No, just a bit with the moon.
Yeah, that was cool though.
Yeah. No, can't say too much because.
Yeah, I got you, brother.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, and
yes, and spoiler, Hodor.
Yeah.
What about you, Teresa?
No, I think that these were all very fine character chapters as well as good plot chapters, moving us forward and intriguing us. Just a reminder about how well crafted George R. R. Martin did write these books. Just the fact that us going through them, isn't it showing how we keep coming up with layer after layer after layer?
I know, it's insane. What I thought too was, out of these chapters, the ones with the kids, they all find something about themselves that make them grow to be a better person. Ned is the one that doesn't seem to advance. He's playing the game, but yet the kids are, you got Arya, becoming, understanding that she's not a lady. Sam's not a knight. Danny isn't weak. There's so much going on right there with all these chapters. Like they're finding something in themselves that they didn't realize they had, and that maybe society doesn't want them to have, and they're going for it.
And they're each growing stronger,
right,
by the day.
Right. I mean, and maybe Sam isn't, but he's helping John become a better leader. You know what I mean? So like they find things out about themselves.
But even seeing his someone actually care about him, enough to protect him, gives him a little bit of strength and confidence too. I think you'll start to see that seed being sown in Sam when he realizes he's not alone.
For the first time.
Yeah.
And not by a woman, not by his mom or sisters, but by men. That's huge. I know people don't realize that, but it is important for young men to have positive men in their lives. I think it's a very important thing. And it doesn't have to be a dad. It could be an uncle, a friend, somebody, but a positive male influence to teach you how to be a man in society.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where
feminists wants is a society where all men are like Sam.
Oh man, that's what they say. Maybe say out loud, but they want an Arya. I mean, John.
They want a Drogo to tell them to look at the dragon eggs.
Oh, that's even better. A Drogo. Take a look at the dragon egg. Wow, I just got one. Oh, my sun and my moon. Okay. Christy, anything?
Nah.
All right. I'm trying to get I love it.
What's a nah?
I know. When you're like one of the last ones to speak, we pretty much say a lot. So it kind of sucks.
All of that.
All of that. All right. Well, we'll start winding it down. Another thank you to, I love this chat. There have been people here the whole time. Another Monster, Smooth Jam, California. Thank you. I don't remember seeing you in the chats before, so I really appreciate you being here. V-Star, aka Nancy, Culture Casino, Mason Kalaski, Ski. Another Monster, as always. I said that. Anybody I'm missing? I did not see Patch Face or Snatch or whatever that. Snatch. Yeah. Toxic Man Flu stopped in. That was awesome. Adam Price, of course. I can't go that far back. So if there's people I'm missing, I'm really sorry. But I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. And we're going to go around the table first with our guest. And if you want to plug your channel, please do.
Oh, well, you can find me on Twitter, Teresa_Martin. And you can find me on YouTube, Miss Martin Music, where I talk about books, movies, music, cats, history, and even my Xbox One.
Nice. And please drop your link. Make sure it's out there. Please sub Miss Martin Muse and support. Culture Casino said it better than I can, but he was pretty much stating we have a great community here. Let's support each other. Everyone, let's get everyone to 1,000 except for Stig because he don't care.
I did pass 300 today, though.
Yeah, congratulations, man. That is, I know you don't care, but that's cool, dude.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I know you don't, but it's still cool. It's definitely still cool. How about you, Jayne?
Hey guys, you can catch me here on YouTube. I post movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, as well as occasional pop culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Thank you, Jayne. Christy?
Hello, I'm Christy. Well, my channel is According to Christy, and I love doing live streams, talking just whatever on the news, whatever on my mind. And I have 2 live streams coming up. On Friday nights, we will have the People Walmart stream. Nice. And on Saturday, we will have the top 10 movies of 1983. Stig, Teresa, and Culture Casino, who are who's in the chat, they will all be the panelists. And I already have my list for 1983. I'm very happy.
I better get in one of the later 80s ones. I'm telling you that right now.
Come check me out.
Yeah, please, guys. Those are awesome streams. They're so much fun. So please make sure you check those out. Definitely the 80s one is just genius. I don't.
If you look at the map.
Yep.
See Bear Island.
Yep.
If you rotate it slightly towards the right.
Yeah.
Then bring it down on that tip.
Yeah.
Shut up, Stig.
It would fit.
It would fit. It used to be part of that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to say something about a sea.
No.
Okay, I see what he means.
I see what he means now.
So it broke away.
I have to say, George worked. When they said, "Do you have a map?" He really was involved in the making of these maps, and he wanted them to look very real. And they do. I mean, take a look at these maps, man. And Stig shot. Was that you that sent this one to me? This is one of my.
Jayne.
Oh, Jayne. This one's awesome. And if you look at another thing, I wish I can zoom in even more. If you look at this, is the aisle. Oh shit, that is really close. Hold on. How do I get that even closer to the spot I actually want? If you look at the Isle of Faces right here, okay, I wish I can get in there, but it won't let me zoom right there. A lot of people, you can find videos on it, believe that's an impact crater. The way the island is the only thing coming out of it, it looks like an impact crater that filled with water over, thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. Something to think about.
And killed the dinosaurs.
It could have killed the dinosaurs, yeah. Or brought a long night. You never know.
Ooh.
Very interesting, but things we discuss on our Monday night stream, guys. Make sure you're there for our Winds of Winter predictions, where we talk about, we usually have a topic, but we go off of it. So don't always look at what the description says, because we pretty much talk about whatever pops up about the history of Westeros, the history of A Song of Ice and Fire, and what we think might happen in Winds of Winter. Stig, you want to plug yourself or no? 300?
Nah, just a tiny channel. Posts. I do like a video every time I get 100 subs or something. I don't know. But yeah, and I did one yesterday. So I'm not doing one until winter.
Right. Winter is coming. Thank you, Stig. I like to thank my panelists for being here tonight. Once again, Sporking News Podcast. If you're catching this on replay and you're not subbed, please feel free to sub, like, share. Check out my TikTok, because I don't stop. I'm blowing up over there. Wish it was YouTube, but whatever. Whatever, Christy. Whatever. I'm pretty cool. Almost 160,000 views. Whatever. I now know what games and geekers. I was about to say. All right. Good night, everybody. Hope everyone has a great night. Okay. Thanks for coming.
Night, guys.
Good night.